Hello, everybody. It's St. Andrew's Day here in the UK. So a warm welcome to everybody following us on our various social media channels on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, on Facebook, you name it. This is the weekly armchair podcast, the Talk of the Devils, our Devil's Advocate podcast. I keep forgetting the name of the title. It's been so long since I've said. Welcome to Devil's Advocate. I am Grant Campbell, once again hosting the show. I am delighted to be joined by two esteemed Scots on the show alongside me tonight. First of all, to my right is the one and only Greg Chambers. Greg, how you doing, my good man?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Doing all right. Like you say, it's St. Andrew's Day, so not too bad.
Yeah, absolutely. In the bottom right-hand corner is the one and only Reece once again, fellow Scot again. Reece, how you doing?
Same as always. Decent.
Same as always. I love that. And we're joined by some real royalty tonight. We're joined by Arsenal fan William Bryan. William, how you doing?
I'm not too bad.
Says
Remember
loyalty and Arsenal in the same sentence. It doesn't sound
I know. I have to give them their place somewhat. Just a wee shout out as well to a great contributor to the show, Paul Clay. And evening, guys. Hope you're well, and everybody else in the live chat. Remember, get your comments in, and we'll get you shouted out throughout the show, and you can let us know your points, particularly on the upcoming Manchester United Arsenal game later this week. But gents, it's been a really interesting last few days. Obviously, Manchester United had that extraordinary game against Chelsea. We'll come on to talk a little bit about that in just a minute. But, Will, we're going to go in chronological order, and I'm going to come to you first on this one because obviously it's great to have an Arsenal fan on the channel tonight. Arsenal winning 2-0 against Newcastle on Saturday lunchtime. What was your thoughts on the game? Was it a decent performance? It looked like a fairly comfortable victory in the end for the Gunners.
What I'll say is I don't think it was... First half wasn't a good performance. It was way too slow, way too laboured. It was just like, come on, just start passing it with a bit of rhythm. But it was one of those games where you could tell Newcastle were never going to pose much of a threat on us at all. Their only chances kind of came through John Joe Shelby long shots. And don't get me wrong, there was one very good one where Ramsdale made quite a good save. Don't get me wrong, there are times that he but he can be a bit of a showboater and make things look a bit more spectacular than they can be. But at the same time, he still made a great save. Then second half, we started getting a lot more rhythm into our game, and it just felt like once we got that first goal through some very nice play and very fast movement, Tavares' lovely slip inside pass was one that I was very happy to see that he finally started passing in the second half, because in the first half I think he had 4 shots and there must have been someone in the crowd that he just didn't like the look of, because they all kept on going sky high and it was trying to hit him in the head. But once he'd finally figured out his passing range, then went through Saka, and once we got the first one, it was a chance of how many more will we get. We only got the one more, but it was never going to be too much of a problem after that.
Yeah, I mean, I was really impressed with Bukayo Saka again. He obviously got the first goal. And Martinelli coming off the bench and scoring, what was it, within 90 seconds after coming on?
Yeah, it was something like 90 seconds. I think it was like 86 or something like that. Only his second touch, his first one was from a corner, passing it backwards. But then, yeah, obviously his run for that goal was so just intelligent in order to stay onside and just curl it around. And then the finish ain't a hard finish either. I saw a quote, ironically, because they're obviously comparing it to, now it's not as good as when Cristiano Ronaldo was with Juventus. He did a very similar curling run. You saw side by side where you can tell the similarities, but there's obviously a quote where Martinelli said, ironically, the one player he looks up to and wanted to be like was Cristiano Ronaldo. So I kind of find it interesting to see how he's taken that bit of his game off of even just clips that he's watched. And it'll be interesting to see this weekend, obviously, us coming up against him. I won't be surprised to see him probably try and take that shirt at the end of the game.
The pass from Tomiyasu was better than the one that Ronaldo got, though. Like, that pass from a right back was ridiculous. Like, that was properly... If De Bruyne or Trent had put in that pass, it would be replayed so many times. But it was just like It was like shown twice, and that's all. They didn't even go over it at all, even going over highlights or anything on Match of the Day.
And to be fair, you wouldn't actually expect that type of pass from Tomiyasu because he isn't the most flair back, shall we say. He's been very solid, but it was nice to see him get a bit of quality out there and see if he can do it a bit more often.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, since you commented on there, I want to come to you first on this because you saw the game as well. What did you make of Arsenal as a neutral watching? Because this was a game that obviously was Eddie Howe's first game in the dugout. You know, bit of pressure perhaps on Arsenal to get the job done, but they got it done in the end.
Yeah, Arsenal are just organised, or they've looked organised, and I think it was quite important for them, having been hammered as they were by Liverpool, to just come back and just for it to be convincing what they did. And that's exactly what they did to Newcastle. Like Will said, Newcastle didn't really ever threaten to disturb anything. They maybe could have had a penalty. Not sure. You've seen them given, but you reckon if it was given, then it wouldn't have been overturned. But the same way, like it wasn't given, so it wouldn't be. But they didn't threaten Arsenal at all. Arsenal played really well. I was really impressed. I've been really impressed by their back four. Like, if you think that Tavares is keeping Tierney out the team, Tomiyasu's new to the team, Ben White's playing in a new system, you've got Ramsdale in goal who's in a new system, and the way that's just sort of like gelled over the last 4 or 5 weeks. I noticed at first at Leicester they were really, really good, that especially Tomiyasu and Ben White, and they've really impressed me. So I think if you look at sort of where Arsenal's squad at the start of last season and how disjointed it looked, and the fact that you still had a lot of older players there that were big earners, they've done really well in the space of a year to get a lot of those players out. Players like even Mustafi and stuff like that away, Ozil's away, everything like that. And now their team is young, and not only is it young, it is, but they're nice to watch. They're good to watch when they click. They're really good. And there was points, like I said, that second goal, the Martinelli goal, was an unbelievable bit of play, and it was deserved. They probably could have had 3 or 4 at least, but yeah, we'll see if they can do it on Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a couple of welcomes. Rach says, hi, lads. It's great to see Rachel once again tuning into the show. Reece, I'm going to come to you, but before we do...
I'm just saying one thing, Shane.
Says, where is your Daniel James pajamas tonight?
I don't own them. Never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Like, I would rather die. Like, and I'm sticking to it. And I'm saying this as well. Shane, you bastard.
We'll come to that comment in a little bit later on. But Reece, what was your take on the Arsenal game? Because we've heard from Greg there, obviously we've heard from Will. What was your thoughts on the game? A good win for Arsenal, but is there hope for United to maybe exploit this Arsenal defensive line?
It's Arsenal. I didn't watch the game. All I heard was the result. I'm being honest. I didn't watch the game. I didn't watch the highlights, so I've not got a clue. Simple answer.
Well. Yeah, but Will, coming back to you about very quickly on this, I mean, one thing that I've been really impressed with Arsenal this year has been Ramsdale since he's come in. He's looked like he's been a bit of a leader at the back in goal. What's your take on it? I
would like to apologise to Aaron Ramsdale himself for doubting him when we signed him. We're like many Arsenal fans, to be honest. Obviously, I only looked at the record that he was got relegated with the 2 teams in a row, but he's been a breath of fresh air since he's come in. Just his ability kind of to command the youngsters in front of him. And obviously he's only young himself. He's only like 24 or something as well. But just his ability to speak, get everyone organized in front of him. His passing ability is something that we've needed for a long time in the style of play that we try and utilize on the pitch. And just even his save-making ability was something that I've always known that he's like, yeah, he can make a good amount of saves. He can make a few clinical saves. Don't get me wrong. He's capable of 1 or 2 that he should have saved that will go into the net. And I think you will see a few more of those. Like, he probably could have done better for, I think, 2 of the goals this season. The Mane header against Liverpool in the first half, he probably could have done better. He probably could have gotten a stronger hand on the Son one when we won. But overall, yeah, I've been very, very pleased, and it just shows to me that, yeah, Leno wasn't good enough. And I kind of rated Leno in a way that I thought, yeah, he's quite a good keeper, but now we've got Ramsdale, it's like, oh, okay, it's different level.
It's certainly very interesting, and it'll be intriguing to see how he kind of authorises that defence into that United game, because I think it'll be very interesting. But let's talk about United, because of course this is Devil's Advocate. We do like to talk about Manchester United on this show. Let's review the Chelsea game from Sunday. Finished 1-1 at Stamford Bridge. Greg, what was your thoughts on the game? I mean, United got the goal, Jadon Sancho scoring for his second consecutive game. Is there a little bit of frustration, though, that United didn't go on to win the game when they got themselves in front?
Yeah, I think once you're 1-0 up in a game like that, and Chelsea, really, if you think of, other than the chance really early on that fell to, I think it was Hudson-Odoi.
It was.
In the first minute or so. Other than that, every chance fell to Timo Werner, and there was no chance of that going in anyway. But when the big chance, like there wasn't, you can't think of any sort of moments. De Gea made 2 or 3 good saves, but that's like Carrick said in the post-match, he was expecting De Gea to make 2 or 3 saves. Like a keeper of that quality is going to make those level of saves. And I think Man United could be quite, feel a little bit hard done by, because whether it was a penalty or not, it's completely up in there. Again, I think it's one of those ones that I think if it's given one way, it's not going to be overturned. And I think that was just sort of Man United fell on the wrong side of it. I thought the referee was very quick to blow the whistle for it, though. It did look like he was looking to try and give it and to try and make a decision and show authority rather than to let the game breathe, because I thought most of the time he did do that quite well. But yeah, I think Man United could be feel somewhat hard done by, because like I said, there wasn't many big chances. They defended really well, probably the best we've defended all season. We looked solid going through the centre. We didn't look like we could just get passed through. We didn't concede from open play, and Maguire wasn't playing, so maybe there's a link there. But I think Man United can feel sort of hard done by, but also at the same time, Chelsea dominated possession like we knew they would. They probably could have won at the end if it fell to a player other than Rudiger. Although I'm not sure about Roy Keane's comments saying that it's not a hard finish, because it absolutely is a very hard finish. But you would back, if that fell to Lukaku or even like a Kai Havertz or something, just the way that they're playing just now, you would probably back them, put that in the net, or at least challenge De Gea. So I think if you offered any Man United fan before the game a point, and not only a point, but a goal and a point, we'd take that all day long. So I don't think we could be too disheartened about it.
Regular contributor to the channel, Shane Dowley, has a question for you. He says, as someone who has always been a fan of football and constantly defending it, sorry, Reece, I don't know why Shane did that. How excited are you for Rangnick?
No, that's it. I'm tapping it. Cameras off for a while. That's it. Cameras off for a while.
I'm very excited for Rangnick. I think Rangnick will bring... I'm more excited for Rangnick in terms of the role that he's going to be after a manager than probably as a coach, because I'm sure he's a very good coach, and I think a lot of players are about to get a big culture shock. I think there's a lot of players in that Man United team that are quite happy to play for Man United for the name of playing for Man United, and are going to get a bit of a culture shock of what it actually means, what Roy Keane always talks about, running through walls to play for the team and everything. And I think a lot of players don't do that. I think there's a lot of players that will shine under him that maybe haven't been getting the plaudits, or maybe have been struggling. Centrally, I think Fred and Van de Beek will be really important for him because they press really well. I think Lingard could be sneakily important if he keeps him, although he doesn't tend to keep players that plan to run contracts down. He tends to get rid. So whether they'll let him do that and just let him build the squad how he wants it, that'll be something else. But I think Rangnick, in terms of coming in and just sort of, I don't know, he's just going to give the club a refresh. He's just going to be he's an outside voice. He's not someone from up above. He's not someone's mate. He's not someone from the Sir Alex Ferguson era, which was getting a bit tiresome, that every time we announced someone in a position, they would used to play for Man United, which is great. It's really nice to have that. But when you need positions of power, then you want the best in class. And that's what everyone always talks about Man United with other big teams. They always want the best. And we've got one of the best now, hopefully, with Rangnick. But I think it'll be a big culture shock to a lot of players.
Yeah. That's certainly going to be very interesting. And Shane's just mentioned here that you have the glow you get when you're just out of a toxic relationship.
Absolutely. I've not talked about Man United on a show since before the Wolves game. It was the last time I talked about Man United on a show. Other than that, I've refused because I hated it. So absolutely.
A couple of comments in from regular followers. Trevor Wade says 100% was a penalty. United were awful. We actually only had 2 chances, and that was from the 2 Chelsea mistakes. And also somebody saying a good performance from Eric Bailly on Sunday. Reece, with that in mind then, going to come to you on this next one. What was your take on the penalty incident, but also on Eric Bailly's performance? Because he could be a big player at the heart of that United defence with Harry Maguire's really poor form at the moment, especially.
In all honesty, I saw that penalty coming from a mile off because Wan-Bissaka's been shite all season. So I literally saw that coming because his head was gone. Realistically, his performances going into that game they were gradually improving, even though I know Shai was a bit harsh, but he's not really been. But the last couple of games, he's not been great, especially defensively. Like United cutbacks in particular is one of our biggest weaknesses. We've been cut back on average about 4 or 5 cutbacks a game. In that Chelsea game, Wan-Bissaka got cut back twice. In the penalty in the box, he wasn't focused. And you just saw as soon as that ball fell, Thiago Silva is a veteran and a very experienced centre-back. He knew what he was doing. And he was like, as soon as he got a touch to that ball, that was it.
I thought it was a penalty as well, to be honest.
Yeah, 100% a penalty in my opinion. 100%. Like Wan-Bissaka, his head was gone as well because he had a poor performance. And he was just not in the game. And as soon as Thiago got ahead of him in that yard, got his thigh in front of him, his positioning, all he had to do was get the clip, and then that was it. And he got clipped, and then that was it, straight down. I'm quite surprised though, because Greg made a very good point about Anthony Taylor, about how quick he gave the penalty. What's the difference between last year against Chelsea, when a penalty happened, when it was a delayed decision, and this year it was immediate? What's the difference?
Yeah.
It was the exact same circumstance. So what's the difference now to last year? It was the exact same.
This is my personal opinion. I thought Taylor lost control at the end of the game. He was dishing out yellow cards like it was Christmas. Well, mind you, Christmas isn't too far away, but he was dishing out yellow cards left, right, and centre at the end of the game. I thought it was really, really poor.
Honestly, there should be a petition to get all English referees sacked, and I would happily sign it. Because they're the worst officials in the game. They're useless.
Yeah, I want to come on to a really interesting point that Trevor makes about Rangnick. He says, Rangnick most definitely had an influence on Sunday's game, otherwise Ronaldo would have started. What do we think on that? Greg, I'm going to come to you on that one, because obviously Ronaldo's on the bench. He came on for the last sort of half hour when Sancho went off injured. I thought Sancho was different gravy at the weekend. I thought he took his goal really well. He just looks like he has a little bit of energy back in his game. His spark has returned. But what did you make of Ronaldo being on the bench at the start of the game and then obviously coming on? Is that something we're going to see more and more with United, do you think?
I think we will. With Sancho, I think Sancho looks like a boy that's been coached for the last 10 days. Sancho looks like somebody that's been told that this is a system, this is how I want you to play, and that's what it looks like. He doesn't look like someone that's been told to go out there and have fun. Because he just looks drilled and he looks determined and just he's in the right places all the time. But with Ronaldo not starting, like the minute that came out, all the speculation started that Rangnick's had a say, and Carrick can say that Rangnick hasn't had a say at all. But to go from the formation and the way that we played against Villarreal to then set up how we did against Chelsea 4 days later is very. It was in Rangnick's image, that team. It was high pressing at the front. It was solid at the back. It wasn't flashy really in midfield, but it was never going to be, because Man United's midfield isn't good enough to deal with Chelsea's. There's no point Man United going man for man on that Chelsea team. We'll get annihilated. The best way for Man United to deal with that Chelsea team was to do exactly what they did, was to stifle them, make them go down the centre, try not to give Reece James too much time on the ball, because that down that side, down that flank, I thought Tellez did okay to keep him quiet enough. But yeah, I think we'll see a lot more of that going forward. I think Ronaldo will start being treated like a 37-year-old poacher and not the be-all and end-all. Because at the end of the day, that's what he is. He's 37 years old. He's still one of the best players in the world, absolutely. One of the best to ever do it. But if Rangnick comes in and wants to play a pressing system, I don't know whether he'll have room for passengers. And it was interesting as well, when he came on, he was on the left-hand side. He wasn't through the middle. So maybe that's where they could get away with it. If he's going to make this decision to play Ronaldo, maybe it'll be a case of Ronaldo playing off of Rashford. So he's got the pressing from the front, because you can sometimes get away with, because if you can just force them to go to one side, then it doesn't really matter. Ronaldo doesn't have to press. He just has to stand on a defender to make them pass the other way. He doesn't have to sprint down everyone like Bruno and Fred do. So I think we'll see it. So I think we'll probably see him come off the left a lot more now, and with Rashford or Sancho, one of the two through the centre, because I can see. I thought that team the minute it came out was Ralph had a word, or there was rumours that he'd been watching training sessions and stuff. It sounds like he'd had some sort of influence, or either that or Carrick was preparing them for what was to come. But it just seemed a really strange approach to take, because it was completely different to anything that we'd seen in the last 3 years, because that's still the same coaching team.
Yes.
So I refuse to believe that there's every single member of the coaching staff was telling Ollie to set up like that, and then he was taking it as like a dictatorship sort of role. It's like, no, we're going to play like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely seemed like outside interference in one way or another.
Yeah, no, it was certainly very interesting. And Reece, I'm going to come to you for your thoughts on this in a minute as well. But Eamon Dean has made a very good point. He says, lads, got to say, Bruno hasn't been great of late. That's another thing we should be discussing as well. What did you make of the Ronaldo exclusion under the bench, I suppose, and then obviously Fernandez's situation too?
I'll give Carrick a bit of credit, even though I don't actually think Carrick had infinite wisdom to do it. I do think there was influence there, but I'll give him credit. Like, Rangnick's a football man, but necessarily Carrick didn't have to take... If that advice was given to Carrick, even though he's interim coach, he doesn't have to take it. So it looks like he's actually taking some advice there, and I think Carrick isn't a brain-dead guy. He's quite smart. So the fact he's actually taken a bit of advice there and listened is already a game and a half, 2 games quicker than Ollie, because he actually took some advice, and that's not discredit. That's just clear observation. He's actually listening, and that's what you need to do to thrive as a coach. I think the fact that he dropped Ronaldo in such a big game against one of the best teams in the league and in the team, currently the champions of Europe, I think it's smart, bold. He played 2 wide forwards. One of them's guaranteed to start because Rangnick likes a natural striker and he likes a wide forward in his team. I do agree with Greg. I think it's going to be Rashford in front of Ronaldo. It'll give Ronaldo some space to get into the box and the team will improve pressing-wise. But in terms of dropping Ronaldo, I thought it was bold and I respect him for it. The only thing is, though, you can get away dropping him against, say, a Southampton or a Burnley, but it was dropping against Chelsea. I think you really needed Ronaldo's influence. I think we did need Ronaldo. I think to make a bold decision like that, he chose the wrong game. He's lucky in a way it pulled off because we didn't get beat. But I think necessarily in this game he should have started Ronaldo, but I actually give him a little bit of respect of actually dropping him, though. I do give him that respect.
I don't think it was a free hit. Like, if we made the change and we got beat,
maybe I suppose, but
whereas if you did that against, let's say, like bottom of the table, and then
I get what you mean,
and you're like, oh, but at least if he turns around and gets hammered, Carrick can go, well, it's Chelsea.
Yeah,
like, it's a free hit. Very
interesting comments there, guys, and Keen has just been here. I hope Carrick learns from Ralph. They can go manage elsewhere and build some experience. Well, going to come to you as a sort of neutral party on this. So did you watch the game on Sunday? What did you make of the match? Because, I thought personally Chelsea were particularly poor. I thought they had a lot of the ball, but they didn't really create too many clear-cut chances. But they had big moments, and then obviously the bad mistake from Jorginho leading to the Sancho goal, but he obviously makes amends with the penalty.
Yeah, I saw the majority of the game. I was out for dinner and watched it kind of on my phone for the first half. Then I missed like the first 7 minutes of the second half and literally was just about coming in the door and it just missed the Jorginho mistake leading to the Sancho goal. And I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake. But from what I watched, the game was, to put it bluntly, it was quite a shit game to watch. It was so boring.
It was quite tactical, wasn't it? It felt like it was very much United setting up to try and counter on Chelsea and saying, you guys have the ball, try and break us down.
Yeah, it felt like that, but it didn't feel like a top-notch tactical battle like, say, Man City v PSG was, because that didn't create a lot of chances, but yet that was 2 top teams going at their throats. That was like, okay, in the first half was very interesting. I don't know, it felt like you were trying to hold out, and it feels like you've done that for the last couple of games, and just focusing on sorting out your defense, not concede as many goals, and try and get that sorted before dealing with your attack, which is kind of understandable given how many goals you actually were shipping in. It definitely is needed, but there's a middle ground that you just haven't reached yet, I feel like. And obviously that'll come with time, once you give Rangnick a little bit of time in order to get what he needs to get out of the team. Like, you won't see, well, you'll see somewhat of an immediate improvement, but you won't see this massive improvement that everyone naturally expects with a new manager. It will take a little bit of time. Because, I mean, if you look at, now don't get me wrong, Conte with Tottenham, he's a top-notch coach, but yet he hasn't reached the heights that everyone expected them to go to unbeatable levels. Now, that's to do with also the players they have being terrible, bang average players, and you have way better players, so you should have better performances than they do. But it still will take a lot of time, and he's partly lucky that he has so many games coming up in this Christmas run that he can get the best out of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, Chelsea were just poor, in my opinion, as well. I did think it was a penalty. He kicks through his foot to get to the football, and if you do that, it's a clear
It was
penalty.
clumsy from Wan-Bissaka.
It was stupid. Honestly, you're just looking at it and going, he's not really in any danger. You can even drop off half a yard and let him turn, then block it. There's no need to rush through it. But it was just, both goals were mistakes by players, and yeah, there wasn't many other chances, really.
Yeah. One comment that Trevor Wade makes, gentlemen, which I think was really interesting. Scott McTominay got man of the match. What planet were the judges in Mars? 90% of his passes went backwards, and also our midfield got dominated. Thoughts on this? Because I actually thought Matic was okay at the weekend.
Justice for Fred.
No, Fred was the best player on the.
As well. What
Fred
do
was
we think
unreal.
of this?
I thought Fred was really, really good. Like, positionally, he was really good. He intercepted well, but Fred tends to always intercept well. But even on the ball, he just took his time. He tried to play forward. He pressed really well. I just feel like McTominay got it for getting in the way. Like, there was a lot of times where he won headers in the box for corners, and then obviously the one right at the end when he took it right in the face. And then it's just like, he's done that a lot. He got in the way, but he gets in the way because he's huge. He's a big guy. He can move himself around. But I didn't think he was brilliant. I thought Fred was a lot better. So I thought Matic was better. I thought Bailly had a better game. I thought Sancho probably, if he played any more, probably couldn't give him a man of the match with the fact that he came off. But yeah, I thought it was really strange that McTominay got man of the match when it came up. And like I said, 90% of his passes went backwards, which won't fly under Rangnick. Apparently that's one of his things, is like, you don't pass the ball backwards and sideways from the midfield.
Hates it.
So he should, yeah. I thought it should have went to Fred. I thought Fred had one of his best games under.
Paul agrees with you and says Fred is going to be brilliant under Ralph. Reece, what do you have?
He was literally the first guy when Ralph Rangnick got announced, when everyone was like, which players are going to thrive? And the first guy I said to anybody was Fred. First guy.
Yeah. And he was really good in the Villarreal game, wasn't he? He made that great interception which allowed Ronaldo to open the scoring, didn't he? And so there is maybe he's had a word already, which I thought was very interesting as well. But,
I think the unfortunate thing for Fred, right, is obviously I shared the athletic stats earlier on, like where he's in terms of our team, like 26.2 like pressures he's already done. He's 7 clear to the next best, which I'm shocked. No disrespect, I'm shocked it's Pogba. He's our next best. I thought it would have been Bruno, but even so, like, he's still clear in terms of pressures. That's what Rangnick likes. He likes a midfielder that is aggressive with the press, and he is fully intense. He wants that. The problem is Fred, if he has a mistake in him, can't wait for that to completely change. Those comments are going to die. I can't wait. My problem with Fred is Fred can make one mistake, right, and he has a very good game, and that's the only thing people remember. Fred gets scapegoated for so much shit.
I do agree with that.
And it's unfair. Like, there's several of our players that get scapegoated if they make one mistake. Lindelof gets scapegoated for one mistake.
Yeah.
To be fair, at times, even though he's been poor at this, like, at times, Alex Telles, he can have one mistake, gets immediately scapegoated. Fred's no different. Fred's past 3 or 4 games, Fred's actually been consistently good performances. But he has in him, unfortunately, 1 or 2 mistakes. And that's what you remember. Maguire has, 3 or 4 mistakes in him? But that doesn't seem to get spoken about enough.
Seems to get more than a free pass, I think. And Shaw as well on the left side of the defence, I think, is another one. I like this comment here. Joel Jogba, where does he stand under Rangnick? I mean, that's interesting as well. But
right back, lads. I'm looking forward to it purely as a progressive player. Like, Rangnick's used like number 10s as deep players before in a progressive system to get the ball moving forward. I think to an extent Pogba will succeed, but you're not going to see Pogba become an intense pressing player because that's not who he is. But I think if Pogba's got a role to fill, Rangnick will give him a role to fill. We'll just see how it benefits. But the one thing Rangnick will like from him is the fact that he gets the ball playing quickly. It's just the one thing Pogba has to cut his game, and I think Greg will agree with me on this one, is Pogba slows a game down a lot. When he has the ball, like, he slows it down too much, and then we lose tempo and we lose control of the game if we're on the attack. He needs to cut out of his game. Rangnick will want that to change, and I think if Pogba listens from that, Pogba will benefit as a player, and he can take it. If he's, for example, if he goes elsewhere, it might benefit his game elsewhere. Who knows? But that's something he has to learn, and I'm looking forward to it. But the only thing is, though, Pogba's out with injury, so he is missing a bit of time.
But he comes back, he's got 3 months left in his contract. I can't see Rangnick putting him in the system. Like, by the time that you've got to bed him in a system that's 8 to 12 weeks old, that's hopefully working, hopefully getting results.
I agree.
And you're not going to bring him in and upset the apple.
And obviously wants Haidara as well, which is another thing, which is another midfielder, which is going to benefit if he gets him.
Yeah. Last question on this before we move on and talk a little bit about the game later this week. Are we going to now see the best of Jadon Sancho under Rangnick, the Dortmund days? Are we going to see him be lightning, get in a lot of space, maybe score loads of goals, create lots of chances? He's certainly starting that way. I mean, what do we think?
He looked like under Ollie that he needed someone just to. He still needs coaching. He's still really young. He's played in a high intense system, but he still needs coaching to perfect those bits of his game. And England's a completely different beast to playing in Germany. Defenses don't just fall over in England like sometimes they do. Certainly the lower end of Germany sometimes, where people just suddenly someone does 2 step overs and they lose 3 defenders. You're like, that's not really what you're going to get over here, over in the Premier League. I think he'll just benefit from being around good coaching and being in a system that works. And I think the system will be set up to help him. I don't think the system will be set up to get the ball to Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes. I think the ball will be set up to try and get the ball to Rashford and Sancho as much as possible. And we saw every time Sancho had the ball at his feet on Sunday, even it looked like he looked like he was going to do something. He looked like that against Villarreal as well. I thought he was really good. I thought he deserved his goal. So yeah, I think we will see the best of Jadon Sancho. Whether we see Dortmund days, don't know, because he was ridiculous in that Dortmund team. But like you said, that team was set up to help him and to help Haaland. So hopefully Rangnick comes in and just decides that this is going to be the guy. We're going to build the team around him now for the next 7, 8 years. This is what we need to have in place to do. So hopefully.
Reece, last word to you on this before we move on to the next part.
So I meant that we cut a wee bit there. Does what it
typically
does.
I was last point to you on Sancho. I mean, is he going to really thrive under Rangnick?
Yeah, I certainly think so. He's going to play on the wide side of 2 attacking midfielders. I think that's going to benefit him a lot. So he's going to play as a wide 10 behind. I think he's going to play behind Ronaldo, who will be the more central striker, and he'll have the wide forward benefiting off his partner there. So I think the space that Sancho's going to provide is going to get us a lot more goals. Sancho, the one thing is Greg's right, is the level of defence in terms of the Premier League to the Bundesliga. I love watching German football, I'm not going to deny that, but he is right about defence. And then that's a factor, is Sancho's had to come in and assimilate to Premier League football, which he's never done. Now he's starting to benefit off his performances. He's had good performances, but he just failed to convert and get an assist. He's now getting that. So I think he's finally got the correct system, and he's going to have a coach that is actually hands-on and actually wants to improve his players, rather than just somebody who comes and says vibes for tactics. That's not what it's about now. It's going to be proper coaching. It's going to be proper working hard. And if you're not up for it, then simply put, you can F off. But I don't think Sancho wants to do that. I think Sancho's genuinely committed to the project. He's genuinely committed to United, and he wants to become a better footballer. So I see Sancho thriving. I can't wait for it.
Well, we shall certainly see if he does in time. And obviously, Rangnick will definitely be in the dugout for the Palace game. He would be in the dugout, of course, for the Arsenal game on the 2nd of December. And that is what we're going to be talking about now. Obviously, the game is live on Amazon Prime for all the expensive and
proper pundits, lads.
People. United, obviously, Pogba, Shaw and Varane still out. Cavani as well. Arsenal without Kolasinac and Xhaka, and Saka, according to my app here, very questionable whether he plays. Well, we're going to come to you on this one because start with you, of course, on this because Arsenal, under Arteta, have had a bit of a recovery after a slow start. Is there a bit of pressure on him to deliver something tangible this season, do you think?
I think there is a nice amount of pressure on Arteta. I mean, when you look at the fact that we don't have any European football this season, he's got to deliver, in my opinion, top 5. in the league at least, and a decent cup run. Now, don't get me wrong, we're in the quarterfinals and should definitely be in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. Now, does that count as a cup run? We'll see how we do in the semi-final. If we make it to the final of that, then good. And I mean, Man City are out, so you'd kind of want to try and win that competition and be one of the ones and possibly get something out of that. But he definitely is under a lot more pressure, given this is his second full season, to prove that there has been improvement. And I personally think there has been massive improvement in the side. If you look in 2021, only 2 other teams have gotten more points than us in the whole of 2021, being Man City and Chelsea. We're on the same amount of points gotten as Liverpool, however. It's unfortunate that we can't do 2021 stats, because then we'd be decent, but we always have these periods where we have drop off. And I do think we will have some periods just to do with the average age of our squad, where there will be some games that'll be mightily frustrating, that we're like, we should have won that, or we should have gotten something out of that we are going to drop points in. And it will be frustrating, but it's all part of the learning curve for these young players that I think will be a solid young team in a couple of seasons. And if they can get a top 5, top 4 finish this season, that's only going to help them tenfold.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting. And 36 minutes into this live broadcast, and I forgot to mention, if you want to follow us, you can follow at @SportsArmchair_ on Twitter. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us, share with us, and subscribe for all content on Devil's Advocate. So I forgot to mention that. I thought I should bring that up. We know we're 36 and a half minutes in, but I thought I should really bring that up. Will, wanted to ask you as well about Aubameyang, because he always seems to be a bit of a threat against Manchester United. Do you think he'll be a big player on Thursday?
Not really. If I'm being honest,
what's happened to Aubameyang this year? Because it seems like he's had a bit of an up and down season.
This year he wasn't doing, like, obviously we had a terrible start. Everyone got like COVID situation and illness, and our first game of the season against Brentford shouldn't have gone ahead with the COVID in the camp, but of course that had to happen through Sky Sports being their first kickoff of the season. They wouldn't let that stop. But anyway, obviously the first 3 games were tough. It seemed like he was kicking into form. He was starting to bag in a few goals. It was like, right, good. He just needs the fans to kick him on. But to say he's been bad the last few games is an understatement. He's been a hindrance to our attack, if anything. It's just, he gets in the way. I mean, he cost Odegaard the second goal against Watford by trying to put it in. He's missed shots from less than 5 yards out on numerous occasions. Like, I don't know if it's a focus thing, if it's just such a weird situation that it's like, it's clear we need another striker, and it's clear that's going to happen in January. Who would that be? God knows who. I've seen the links. We will not get Vlahovic. He will not come to us. I'm going to say that straight up. He doesn't want us. He wants something bigger. Not going to say that we ain't a big club, but like, he wants elite. He wants elite, like in Champions League and stuff. But I don't know. Like, I hope he doesn't get in the way too much, but I think other people around the team will pick up for him against you, if I'm being brutally honest.
Well, we've heard some Arsenal point of view there on the game, and Greg and Reece, I'm going to come to you on the United side on this, but just before I do, Manchester United's last victory over Arsenal was back in 2018. That is at home, that is, at Old Trafford. This is a big game on Thursday, isn't it, Greg?
It's big for the season. It's big if Man United want to be serious about trying to get top 4, and top 4 being a priority, because we can't let too many other big points slip, really. And it's a really big game, and I think Arsenal are, for once, they don't often come in as sort of favourites to Old Trafford, but I reckon they probably do come in as favourites on Thursday, just because of the way they're playing, the way they're set up, and the uncertainty there is around Man United. Like, if you asked me to name an 11, I wouldn't have a clue how Man United are going to set up. I wouldn't know what formation. I wouldn't know who's going to play where. But that also sometimes works to your advantage, because I suppose Arsenal don't exactly know what they're going to come up against. They don't know whether they're going to be facing Ronaldo. They don't know whether they're going to be facing Sancho and Rashford. They won't know sort of what's what's going on, but I think it's a massive game for Man United. Like we have to win it if we want any chance of being in the top 4. Because after this, we get quite a nice run of easier games and easier fixtures in the league anyway. So we beat Arsenal, and we can go on a better run, and then maybe you could string 4 or 5 wins together, and then suddenly your season's sort of back on track. Because now you can forget about the Champions League till February. You've qualified. Like that's job one tick. You just got to focus when the FA Cup draw and everything comes out, or when your first FA Cup game is. You've got to concentrate on that now. And those are like the big games. You put milestones down, and you sort of look back at the season where important points were won and lost, and this could be it for both teams really. Because if Arsenal beat Man United on Thursday, they could really make a strive for trying to get, like Will said, top 4, top 5. I don't know if they've got the depth quite to, especially up front, to get the goals that will keep them in the hunt for top 4 all season. But if they can keep the players that are firing now fit, then they'll do it. But it's a massive game for both teams. But I think Arsenal probably come in as the favourites.
Well, Paul says that he thinks that Donny van de Beek should get a chance to play against Arsenal. Reece, what do you think of this game? Because before we come to you, I want to ask you this question. Who scored the winning goal the last time we played Arsenal at Old Trafford and won?
What was that, 3 years ago, the winning goal?
Yeah, the 2-1 game. Marouane Fellaini.
To be fair, the last time Fellaini scored a goal that actually made me happy was the day we beat City 4-2 because I turned 18 now, so I gave my mum and dad the finger that day because it was funny because they're City fans. Mind you, that was a Mourinho masterclass though, so which is fun enough.
Right, come on then, bro. What's your thoughts on this game?
Honestly, I cannot really disagree with Greg. I think Greg's been spot on really about the game. My only concern though is how we're going to play, because I think if we play like we did against Chelsea, then we won't beat Arsenal. Like, because we just didn't do enough. But I think if we play like how we did against Villarreal, where we try to contain Arsenal for about 50, 60 minutes, and we're just like forcing them to try and come out their comfort zone, try to be a bit riskier and then make them make mistakes, we'll just capitalise with the ball and then we'll just punish them on the break. I think that's the difference. And I hate United playing on the break. It bores me to death. But against a team that realistically are better coached than us and better with the ball, realistically you'd want to allow Arsenal to have most of the ball in this game, in my opinion, because in terms of quality, we are better than them, but they're just a better team. But I think if we can just force them to make mistakes, play them out of their comfort zone, try and make them play the ball quicker than they normally do.
Press their fullbacks because they're awful on the ball.
Yeah, especially
Tavares loves playing a dodgy pass inside just to get red, and same with
I agree.
Tomiyasu. Press their fullbacks, get Rashford and Sancho, just pin them back and just press everything they do. Doesn't matter if you press in the middle, just force those, because those fullbacks will give you a freebie. I
think the midfield's going to be fine. I think the midfield's going to be balanced out. Like, I don't think either team are realistically better. It's just they're better with passing the ball about. They can string 3 passes. We can only string 1 or 2. But the difference is I think we're better at penetrating a defence once we play the ball quicker. But if we play really slow, we're absolutely useless.
Yeah.
But I agree with pressing their fullbacks. The fact they don't have like Kieran Tierney playing as a fullback anymore is actually a benefit for us, like injuries and the fact he seems to be more trusted as a centre back. I think that gives us a bit of confidence, because you put a Rashford on him, Rashford's quicker. You put a Ronaldo on him, Tierney's just not going to handle him. I think there's a confidence level there, but I don't know what Arsenal's defence is going to be like, so I'm looking forward to the game. But
Strange thing is, I have a feeling Tierney comes back in for this game. I think he gave Tavares that game to get his confidence back up, but I don't think he'll trust him in what is realistically a very big game going to Old Trafford.
It's a massive game.
After what happened to him in Anfield, I think he's got his confidence back, and I just think it's like, look, we're just going to rest you for this game and give Tierney a few minutes in his legs at least. And I just think Tierney, for his experience, will get put into this game.
One thing you can't afford is you can't afford him to get injured. You can't afford to get him get injured again, even though it will sadly inevitably happen, because Tierney's legs are like eyes.
You better not get injured again.
We need him more than that lot. Like,
I know, yeah. You better not get injured again. Just don't play him. It's fine.
Look, he'll get injured, then he'll be back fit just 1 week before you play your Euros, and then he'll get injured after that. It's fine.
Probably. He does the business for Scotland and gets injured and says, I've done my duty.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we've talked a little bit there. The guys have mentioned there about how United could get at Arsenal. How can Arsenal get at United just to balance this a wee bit?
It depends how you're going to play. I think if you're sitting back, I mean, Reece alluded to earlier on in the game that you've been terrible defending cutbacks, and I think that can be one of our strengths with Emile Smith-Rowe as a late run from midfield coming in on a cutback. I think I can honestly see that goal happening. I am strangely confident that Smith-Rowe is going to get a goal in this game. It's just something about him. I just think he's going to suit this, just the way you're seemingly defend. Obviously, another great way to get at you will be. I have a feeling might get at you from like set pieces and corners once Harry Maguire is back in.
Don't remind us of that.
Maguire. So if Maguire plays against Arsenal Thursday, he will scuttle the whole back line. But if Shaw's fit, I would change him for Tellez. So
I personally wouldn't. I do not like, as much as I like Luke Shaw, I do not want Luke Shaw starting in this game. He's in such bad form that starting him, I think, one mistake, that's it. I would rather have came off the bench and just played himself into confidence, himself into form. Honestly, I would rather have Alex Tellez start.
Yeah. Anyway, well,
once you're going to be up against Saka or you're going to be up against Saka or Martinelli on that right hand side, you're probably going to need to have a lot of confidence because either way, Saka's on decent-ish form. He's got a decent dribbling ability, and Martinelli, if he's starting, he's going to have something to prove. So.
Is someone like Martin Odegaard a bit of a wild card for this game, Will?
I think so. I think he definitely keeps his place. Now, he's kind of one of Arsenal's scapegoats in the sense that
Lee Gunner's got an issue with him apparently. Like he calls him like, what's it, Gibraltar or something?
Fan base have a fucking problem with him, and I don't understand it. It's like, is it because he's not born in England? Is it because he's not one of our own? Like,
obviously,
he's got great quality on the ball. He's actually our highest. He was one of the highest pressing players in the Premier League. Period. Like, it's so frustrating. But I think if he's on it and able to just not get pressured properly with the quality he can play in behind a few of the through balls to either like Smith-Rowe or whoever's on that right hand side, I think that he definitely could provide a very big threat, as well as his ability on dead ball situations from free kicks. He's got a sweet little free kick on him that obviously tested Dubravka. He's a very nice player, and it will take him a bit more time to adjust to the English style of playing, but he is slowly getting there, and he has quality, and he'll be a shrewd signing, and eventually Arsenal fans that don't rate him will have to shut the fuck up.
One thing that extremely
he's in bit part leagues though, isn't he? Like he's never played because of where he's been. He's been at Real Madrid and then he's been on loan, and then like you could never settle, and you don't get the chance to settle in a team. You never feel like you're part of a team. I imagine if you're on loan because you know you're going back at the end of the season. He then went through the whole thing for Real Madrid for weeks, where it was like, well, you might keep him, might not. No wonder it took him so long. It's taken him so long to settle. But like you see the bits of quality he's got. I think he's an unbelievable player. If they could find a way to get him, Saka, and sort of Smith-Rowe in the same team and still be defensively stable enough, they would be fine. I just think Smith-Rowe's better centrally than he is out wide. And I don't like the fact that Saka has to play as a wing-back. Like, I think Saka's a better attacker. If they could find a way to fit the three of them in, I think Arsenal would be great, but I just don't think they'd be solid enough defensively.
One thing that worries me about this game, just in general, gentlemen, is that Martin Atkinson is refereeing, and I personally is extremely incompetent.
Well, the last time he rested an Arsenal game was the 5-0 defeat to Manchester City, where Granit Xhaka got sent off.
Yeah.
And also, Craig Pawson is VAR, so they're two officials that Arsenal fans absolutely can't stand. So there you go.
Game over for Arsenal. That's it. That's changed my prediction all differently than what I originally did. That's it changed now. I'll say this. So I agree about the Odegaard comments. I like Odegaard, but he's just never really adapted. Like Real Madrid, I think he made a horrible decision originally going to Real Madrid. He should have went somewhere else because I think going there, that expectation as a 16-year-old at the time to go to Real Madrid and look at him, he's to a degree his career has went downhill since because he's never really been able to play for a top club. Now he's got Arsenal in the Premier League where he's having to adapt to the style. He's got fans harassing him every week saying he's shit, he's not good enough. He's being called Gibraltar guard because his stat pad against Gibraltar and all that, but he does it. He can't do it against the likes of Brighton. He can't do it against the likes of Southampton and all that. As an example, he'll only be praised if it's against Gibraltar and it's marked against him, and I think it's ridiculous. But I'm going to go on a limb, and I'll say this as well. See the Maguire comment that was just put up by Trevor a minute ago. Like, The whole
Which
like Ballon d'Or thing, the Ballon d'Or one.
We'll put it back
I'll
up.
tell you one thing. I'm offended by the name Maguire because he was invited to the Brian Robson premiere, and in that one bloody tweet, it was marked as 5 legends, and he was tagged. No. It's 4 legends and a lucky captain. We have to make that clear. It's 4 legends and a lucky captain.
You said lucky captain. I would say another word, but it's not broadcastable on.
Gosh, well, yeah, but I'm just going to the fact that he's captain. He's just lucky. He's got the armband. He's woeful. But on the back of like Odegaard, I think finding the system, I think that's generally how Odegaard communicates. I don't see Odegaard and Smith Rowe benefiting the same team because they're both number 10s. I think, all due respect to Arteta, either he changed the system to get them in, similar to how we played against Chelsea, like play 2 10s in that system, like as a diamond, maybe play one of them as an 8, or instead of sacrificing one as a winger, just drop one of them and just rotate round. I know it's not exactly the best thing for an Arsenal fan, but either he changes the system or he drops one of them. Because I think Smith Rowe is better in the middle than he is out wide, and Odegaard isn't good out wide. He isn't particularly good out wide.
It's certainly going to be really intriguing. And we come to this stage in the show, gents, where it's time to predict our starting 11s. And I know that this is a very difficult one this week because we really don't know how it is going to set up. So, Greg, I'm going to come to you first. How do you anticipate this shaping up? Because I don't think any Manchester United fan can absolutely be sure of what we're going to go with because, it's a big game. And, we haven't the greatest record against Arsenal in recent times at Old Trafford. So it's going to be interesting to see how we shape up.
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing I can think of that he'll do, I think he'll go 4-3-3. I think he'll probably... I don't think the back line will change that much. I think Maguire will come back in for Bailly. So I think it'll be De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Telles. I think his midfield 3 will be... probably Fred, McTominay, Fernandes, and then Ronaldo on the left, Rashford through the centre, and Sancho on the right. That would be the closest guess I could come to it. I'd love to fit Donny in there, but I can't see him dropping Fred and McTominay because I think he want to be defensively solid through the middle again.
Yes.
And Donny plays really well. Yeah, he's brilliant on that half turn, but I think because this is likely to be Carrick's last game, I think he's getting out with just something was going to be his priority. So I could really see him just trying to go defensively solid again, deal with Ronaldo on that left hand side because there's no way he'll drop him twice.
Yes,
I don't think he'll deal with that, but I think he might play him floating out on the left hand side. I think Rangnick will have a say regardless. It doesn't matter. Carrick can say that he doesn't. Rangnick could be having to say what sort of the team should line up like and things like that. So that would be my closest guess. Maguire will come back in regardless. It doesn't matter what form he's on. He's the club captain until someone in a position of power makes the decision that he's not. And even then, I don't think Ralph, in the position that he is in, coming in as an interim, can make that decision. I think it's one for the next permanent manager, so whether that is Ralph Rangnick or whether it's Poch or Ten Hag or whoever it is, I think that'll be their decision to make. I think Man United fans are going to have to deal with Maguire for a little while longer, sort of being captain and playing every game because you just don't drop your captain. It's just not something you do if you want to keep harmony in the dressing room.
Yeah. Reece, what's your take on the team? I mean, Greg's made his. It's a very interesting lineup. I mean, does yours differ?
Maybe just one change. I would hate Maguire to start because then we would struggle. But I do think he's come back in, so I'm going De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof. In fact, nah, I was thinking Bailly, but no, like Carrick won't have that intelligence. Lindelof, Maguire, Telles. I'm going to go similar. I'm actually going to go Diamond again, funnily enough. I'm going Matic, Donny, Fred, Bruno, Ronaldo, Sancho.
Interesting. Well, I think
twice a week.
I think personally Van de Beek might start. I'm going to put it out there. I think Van de Beek starts out of McTominay.
If we want to win this game at Old Trafford, like as much as I love the Stone Roses, right? The Stone Roses are an absolute diamond. As soon as the players get onto as soon as the players get onto the field, stick on the Champions League anthem, and then Arsenal have no chance. And And
I'm
then
at the
please don't
game. So if
lose
I
at
go
the
to the
end.
game for Ronaldo to be dropped, I'll be very upset.
Yeah.
I'm not going all the way to Manchester to just watch Ronaldo on the bench. I want to watch him.
I have the same.
You just hear it broadcast on. You just hear the broadcast on STV. Like as soon as Greg gets back into the country. This is STV News. Presenting an update from Old Trafford. Greg Chambers has had an absolute riot at Michael Carrick.
Well, I have the same front three as you guys, except I actually have Ronaldo through the middle and Rashford and Sancho on the wings. But I think Van de Beek plays ahead of McTominay and Fred and Matic play. That's what I'd love to see.
Yeah, they might not take the risk when McTominay's taking a head knock because
exactly,
they
that's
got
why
a
I don't
lot of
think he'll
stick for
play.
the Shaw thing, didn't they?
Yeah.
There is apparent rumours that Varane is back for Thursday, but he's not fully fit. He's just back for like the bench.
I was going to say, I think Varane will be on the bench. My back five is pretty much the same. The only change I think might happen. Well, no, include the
Goalkeeper
keeper.
and back four.
Thank God, because I was like,
No. I'm including the five in the back, the keeper. The only change I'd maybe make I'd say maybe make. I think it's a given Maguire comes back into the defence.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's fairly similar. Well, how do you think Arsenal are going to shape up? This is intriguing.
I don't think there'll be too many changes, to be honest. Only the one. So I'd say Ramsdale in goal, Tomiyasu right back, Ben White, Gabriel. And then I think Kieran Tierney does come back in this game. I think he's had enough of a rest on the bench that it's like maybe he didn't see him as fully fit or something. And I think he'll just get thrown in just because he feels like Old Trafford will be a similar atmosphere to, say, Anfield. And just after the last game that Tavares had there, don't get me wrong, he was arguably one of my man of the match for the Newcastle game. But this is United, not Newcastle United.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
you mentioned earlier about Smith Rowe. He's the one player who really worries me because I think he's a really good player for Arsenal.
Oh, he's one. In my opinion, he's better than Saka.
Me too.
That's one that I will.
That's all I wanted to hear. That's all I wanted to hear from you, generational talent lot. That's all I wanted to hear.
Like, don't get me wrong, Saka is top class, but I think Smith Rowe just has more to his game. I think he's slightly more intelligent and will gain more the end product as well.
He looks like a Premier League player as well. Like he doesn't, from the minute he came into the team, he just looked like he was to the manner born. Like he was just, this is where I'm going to play, and whether it's at Arsenal or whatever. Like,
ironically, he learned his craft by giving a chance on his first loan spell under Rangnick in Leipzig as well, who wanted to loan him back for the second season, but we wanted him to get English football experience.
Yeah.
So
remember, Greg said in our group chat not long ago, Smith Rowe to Arsenal in 5 years. I say Smith Rowe to Arsenal.
United, yeah.
Smith Rowe to Man United in 6 months.
That'd be great.
No so other than that, then I expect Thomas Partey next to Lokonga. I'm feeling if you don't put pressure on Lokonga, though, he can honestly cause damage to you because when he's on it, like he created the most amount of chances under any Arteta player last game with 7 chances created in the game alone. His ability, I remember his pass to Saka in the Newcastle game that just put him in behind, one through ball over the top was beautiful. Yeah. And he's definitely got the ability to cut through the lines if you don't put enough pressure on him. So the two of them, I think Odegaard in 10, I think he'll get kept. I think the only reason we stuck with Lacazette was it was working for the time being. He isn't part of the future plans. I think you'll see his times get kind of diminished a little bit. Then you got Smith Rowe on the left. On the right wing, it could be Saka or it could be Martinelli. It depends on how bad Saka's injury is. I don't think it was bad at all. He walked off fine normally. Like he was sitting on the bench laughing and smiling. Nothing looked wrong with him. I have a feeling he's fine and I'm feeling he might start. And then unfortunately Aubameyang up top.
I think maybe an advantage to play a false 9 though. Like genuinely might be an advantage for Arsenal to not play an actual target man as a striker.
Yeah. The last time we played a false 9 was against Villarreal in the fucking Europa League semi-final. I never want to see us play a false fucking number 9.
You're relying on Harry Maguire. Like Harry Maguire knows that when Aubameyang's on the pitch, if he stands on Maguire, if he stands on Aubameyang, the ball will go to Aubameyang, and he just has to tackle him. Whereas,
except for the ball probably still won't go to Aubameyang. I think if Arsenal like 5 or 6 touches. So if he stands there, at least so Harry Maguire might just keep everyone else on side and let the rest run in.
That's a good plan. Yeah, keep Aubameyang in. Because if the ball doesn't go to Aubameyang, then that's fine. Maguire will be fine.
Yeah.
I was literally trying to make it Williams points every time he spoke. It sounded like I was watching Doctor Who. Sounded like a Dalek. No offense, mate. But that's what I was getting. Exterminate talking about Aubameyang playing up. But I do think, see, if you do play a false nine, you could potentially get away with that being Smith Rowe or Odegaard. You could get away with one of them, or you could play Martinelli. I think Martinelli through the middle is a decent player. He's just never had the opportunity. I think Martinelli's a better central figure than he is out wide.
I think that he could be very solid in there. I just don't think Man United away is the game to try it. To be honest, I don't think going to Old Trafford is the area that you want to try out all these youngsters. Because when you look at a team with Odegaard coming in for Lacazette, that's more youngsters. Aubameyang being older, you need at least one older head out on the pitch. You can't play everyone underneath 25 years old out there,
Yeah. Well, it's certainly going to be very interesting, and it'll be really intriguing to see that Aubameyang Maguire potential battle unfolding. Very quickly, guys, because we're coming to the end of the broadcast. I've thoroughly enjoyed our chat. Score prediction to wrap things up. As we have an Arsenal fan on the panel, we better start with Will first. Scoreline prediction?
As much as I want to be confident, and I usually always go for an Arsenal win, just one scoreline's been hopping out of me all kind of week is 1-1. Again, I just think it's going to be a draw. Now, obviously, if you're going to ask me on game day, I'm going to say, yeah, we're going to sneak a 2-1 win. But, but I just think 1-1, a goal by Emile Smith-Rowe, and I think Ronaldo will get a goal, but highly contributed by Sancho.
Reece, what's your prediction, my good man?
Originally, my prediction was 1-1, the exact same as I put against Chelsea. But I think, knowing that Atkinson's referee, Pawson's the VAR official, I'm tempted to say 3-1 United, but I'm going to stick with... I was tempted, but I'm going... I just think if we win 3-1, that's a charity for Arteta and Man United right now. Like, we're not looking to be a charity case. We're looking to progress up the league. So we'll be generous against you lot. So I'm going 2-1 Man United, and I'm going Sancho to score, and I'm also going... I think Bruno finally break his duck, but that's wishful thinking. I hope he finally breaks that duck. So yeah, I'm going Bruno and Sancho to score.
Just a shot on target would do. A shot on target.
Yeah.
I'm not about
Well,
that'd be nice.
That'd
be nice.
Prediction is you, Reece, but he's going for Ronaldo to score instead.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ronaldo scores.
Yeah. Part-time
I mean,
with
he has an Arsenal agenda.
Goes 2-0 United, goal each half. Fred to score.
Oh, if Fred scores while I'm at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
If Fred's... All I'm saying, and this is to
Last
the guys...
time I went to Old Trafford, Fred scored. So, this is what's happening. I'm going to manifest into existence, and Fred will score.
What are you going for, Greg, then?
Just so I'm going to the game with Keane, I'll agree with what he said in the comments. I'll say 3-1, because that'll be... Yeah, I'll match his energy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
okay,
I think...
I'm gonna go 1-0. I'm gonna go for a Ronaldo penalty.
A penalty.
Disgusting behaviour. I'm going to say this, and this is for the lads in the Weekly Armchair group chat. If Fred does score in that game, prepare to mute it, because like I told you about German Revolution coming to Man United, just like I've been talking the Bundesliga and German football, and obviously the man was right. That Shane meme is perfection. That scene of Fred scoring, mute the group chat, because I'm going to be unfucking bearable.
Will you be replacing your Dan James pajamas with Fred pajamas?
Oh, you bastard! What Dan James? This is where I'm going to kill Trevor.
And on that bombshell, I think it's time to end. And it's been a really great episode once again of The Devil's Advocate. You can check out Sports Armchair on Twitter. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can like, share, and also find us on various other social media networks like Twitch, YouTube, and much more. You can find us on Twitch at Weekly Sports Armchair. You can find us there as well. And gents, to wrap things up, where can people find you on the socials? Greg, over to you first.
It's just at Twitter at Greg_D_Chambers. But that's pretty much it. Other than that, just watch everything coming out on the channel. On Friday, the basketball podcast has a special guest coming on. I won't ruin that in case that hasn't been released yet, but it's going to be really good. So if you're into basketball, or if you're not into basketball, join the chat, because it's really good, really insightful, and Tim and Rach do a really good job over there.
Yeah, and Paul says, thanks, guys, in the comments tonight. Reece, where can they find you, my good man?
You can find me at Mind Your Own Business. Just kidding. You can find me at Devils Rising on Twitter. You can find me here as well. Back tomorrow with Keen. Keen's going to be my side bitch on the channel tomorrow. So we'll see how Keen takes being on the channel with me as a host, with him just sitting there in the corner. We'll see how that goes. And that's really it, really. So Devils Rising on Twitter, and then you can find me here as well. So that's going to be fun.
And Will, thanks for coming on and being such a great sport. I would say on the Gunners, but no, we want United to win, obviously, tomorrow. So, or Thursday, I should say. Where can they find you, my good man?
So you can find me on Twitter at my Willy Chili Bry, and you can find me on my Admire Me page. No, only messing. I'm a real fan. So it's basically just on Twitter, Willy Chili Bry.
Shot. That's so unnecessary.
Why would you do that, you freaking donut?
That's so unnecessary.
That's just ruined their cred.
As I said,
a bombshell.
Well, that bombshell is tied to end. Thanks very much to everybody who has commented on the show tonight. Remember, you can follow Devil's Advocate wherever you find us. We'll be back very soon for another episode of this really great podcast where we talk about all things Manchester United. That's it for me, Grant Campbell. You can find me at Stato_Grant on Twitter. But until next time, come on United on Thursday, and all the very best to everybody. Take it easy and stay safe.
Stay classy.